Hey folks, Gway. So I got a comment that I want to read to you, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. Hey Rev, I have a question for you. On Facebook, just a bit ago, on our governor's page, a woman was condemning the opening ceremony of the 2024 Olympics in France. From what I gathered, because I have not seen it, she's claiming that the gays are condemning God by depicting the Last Supper. Any idea? Thanks. I enjoy your easy-to-understand YouTube videos. So, as a way of addressing this comment from this very, very smart, wise, wonderful viewer, I thought I would show you this. This is the imagery that they're talking about. So this is an image that has been shared widely in media. It's a depiction of a bunch of people all on one side of a table, of a platform, hanging out with a person in the middle. You can see that halo sort of around their head. A person in the middle doing their thing. Now, this looks very, very, very similar to this. But this is not a reimagining of this. This is a reimagining of the Feast of Dionysus. And if people had, rather than just take the image and see how closely it resembles Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, instead had watched it, or went back and watched it, or looked at other images of it, what they would have seen, they would have seen that that isn't a table, it's a catwalk. That this isn't the Last Supper, it's a fashion show. That this isn't a reimagining of Jesus' times with his disciples in the upper room. It's actually a reimagining of the Feast of Dionysus for the modern world. It's nothing for a Christian to be upset about. That is not anybody mocking the Christian faith. The Feast of Dionysus, reimagined for a modern world. It depicts a fashion show. That person in the middle with the halo, they're the DJ. That's it. Right? That's it. They're not meant to be, divine. It's the DJ at a fashion show doing their thing. You would have seen at some point, if you watched the entire performance, you would have seen the Greek god Dionysus being carried out. Right? Dionysus, I think, is the god of wine and festivities, I think. But you would have seen him in his blue glory being carried out. In no way, shape, or form is it mocking Christianity. But I have a couple of things to say about it anyway. Because, the first thing that I want to say about this quote-unquote controversy is this. Whenever Christians fail to do their research, whenever Christians fail to understand what's really happening and just start talking and just start sharing with the world how offended they are, how they're victimized, how they're persecuted, how they're being mocked and ridiculed without understanding what's actually going on, they make Christianity look like they make it look ignorant, right? It makes us look ignorant. Is this what all Christians are like? All those Christians are really upset about this because they don't understand what's going on. Are all Christians this ignorant? Are all Christians this quick to judge? Are all Christians this quick to be offended? It reminds me there's a passage in James's letter to the people. The first chapter, it says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. I.e., do your stinking research. Before you open your mouth, before you lose your mind, do your research and really understand what's going on. And then I would say, take a beat, take a breath, take a minute or more, and then respond. I guarantee your response will be, at least better thought out, if not fully thought out. The other thing about this that came to my mind is, let's imagine that this is actually a reimagining of this. Let's imagine that that's exactly what the producers in France wanted to do. They wanted to reimagine the Last Supper for the modern world. Okay? Let's imagine that. That would be artistic license. That would be an artist's interpretation of another piece of artwork. It would be an artist's interpretation of another piece of artwork that was an artist's interpretation of a moment, of a time. Right? So it's nothing more than a reimagining of this event in exactly the same spirit of Leonardo's original intent. If you go back and you look at the Last Supper, all right, let's take another quick look at it here. If we go back and we look at the Last Supper, now I can't show you here. This is just, I should have picked a different picture. But look, there's not a thing in this that is historically accurate. I mean, maybe the clothes, maybe the food on the table, but beyond that, there is nothing in there that I see that is historically accurate. Ain't none of the disciples look like any of the disciples in that picture. Jesus did not look like Jesus in that picture. I wonder if they tease Andrew, oh, look at the big chubby cheeks on Andrew in that picture. Probably not. But my point is, Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper is his imagining of that moment. It's his interpretation of that moment. He's taken artistic license in preparing that for us, in painting that for us. What he did there was he chose to put himself into the painting. He chose to put himself and people like him, people who look like him, the people of his community, into that painting. That's why they're all Caucasian. That's why they all look like the people of Leonardo's day, like that. They've got that Renaissance-esque kind of feel to them. That's why, did Jesus have access to a Roman villa? Doubtful. Whenever I've imagined in the upper room, I kind of imagine a very rustic, a very rustic setting, a very rough setting. I don't imagine spectacular views. I don't imagine, beautiful art, a beautiful masonry done on the walls and on the ceiling. I imagine something very, very rough, very, very crude, very utilitarian. I don't imagine all of them sitting at one side of the table. That seems odd to me. And I certainly don't imagine them sitting on chairs. So Leonardo da Vinci chose to paint his society into the Last Supper so that his society could see themselves there with Jesus, and so that the people of his society could see themselves in Jesus. If the people of France wanted to, if the producers, the director, the creative minds who put together that imagery that I showed you, which was we know to be the Feast of Dionysus, if they did actually believe that it was going to be a reimagining of the Last Supper, meant to be a reimagining of the Last Supper, all they were doing was painting themselves into it. They were doing exactly the same thing as Leonardo da Vinci. They were I just want to see myself there beside Jesus. I just want to see myself in Jesus. I want my friends to be able to see themselves in this moment together at that first Eucharist. There's a power to it. There's an importance to it. There's meaning to it. Now, just because we may not like it doesn't mean it's a mockery of our faith. If somebody had painted reimagined the Last Supper with African faces, would we be as upset? If somebody did it with Arab faces, would we be as upset? If somebody did it with Asian faces or Inuit faces or Mohawk faces, Apache faces, would we be as upset? If somebody had imagined, a reimagining where it's children, or as I saw today, of soldiers, of young soldiers, would we be as upset? Would we see it as a mockery of our faith? It's just people wanting to be included. It's just people wanting to see themselves there. If you feel mocked, you're choosing to feel mocked. If you feel offended by this, you are choosing to feel offended by this. It's on you. It's not on the people who created this. Again, it was created as a reimagining of the Feast of Dionysus. But if it was supposed to be the Last Supper, it's on us if we're offended. It's on us if we feel mocked. We don't have to feel offended. We don't have to feel mocked. We don't have to feel persecuted. We certainly don't have to feel like a victim because of something like that. As a matter of fact, I would challenge you, rather than allowing yourself to feel offended, if somebody ever does come along and says, I'm going to do this, and it's a mockery of your Christian faith, don't be offended by it. Take it as an opportunity to learn something about the world around you and about you and about your church and about your faith and your religion. If somebody comes along and they say, let's imagine that the producers in France, the creative minds in France said, you know what, we're going to do this and we're going to tick off 3 billion Christians. We're going to make them all angry all at once. You right? Okay. Imagine that's what they did. I'm not going to take offense to that. I'm going to ask myself, why? Why would they want to offend the Christians like this? Why would they want to mock Christianity like this? Those answers are going to be really important. And I guarantee it won't be because they're evil. It's because they've been hurt, right? Because they've been hurt. They've been harmed. They've been excluded. They've been mocked by the church, by the faith, right? It's going to be good reasons. Right? We can ask ourselves, I think this is the greatest question. Why is it that someone would want to mock a religion of peace, love, joy, and hope? Why would somebody want to mock a religion of peace, love, joy, and hope? Are we sharing with the world peace, love, joy, and hope? Does the world see us as a religion of peace, love, joy, and hope? When we go out into the world, are we doing our ever-loving best to make sure that we are a religion of peace, love, joy, and hope? Or are we out there offering the world something else? Something that we're not supposed to be? At the end of the day, again, it's your choice whether or not you'll be offended. I'd much rather learn something from the situation. I'd much rather reframe it and allow it to be something that is a catalyst for me to grow, catalyst for my growth. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. I pray that no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter where you've been, no matter what you've done, no matter for whatever, all reasons aside, I pray that you are able to see yourself in that place with Jesus. And I pray that you are able to see yourself in Jesus. And I pray that you're able to see Jesus in yourself. Amen. Nemultus.